The iPhone 8 Plus and its predecessor the 7 Plus are the last two big iPhones with the old design that contains the classic button. After the 8 Plus, Apple kept this design for the smaller models in form of the SE, but they didn't release a larger model. For people that still love the home button and want a big iPhone, these are your only choices, considering older models like the 6S Plus aren't that good anymore. In this video I am going to compare the iPhone 8 Plus and the 7 Plus and tell you if they are still worth it in 2023. When it comes to the build quality, they look almost identical, but they don't feel the same. That's because the back of the 7 Plus is aluminum while it is glass on its successor. Personally, I like the 8 Plus a little bit more, even though the 7 Plus is still holding good. The frame on the 8 Plus is separated from the back and it is aluminum, while on the 7 Plus it is the back stretches into the frame with the same material. On the front both have chunky bezels all around, and by today's standards they look outdated, but like I said, many people still love this design and won't mind it. Both are also IP67 water and dust resistant, but only if they don't have replaced parts. They are also very similar in terms of the display. Both devices have display sizes at 5.5 inches with full HD resolutions. They both have LCD panels and they do refresh at 60 Hz. In 2023 these displays aren't as good. They don't get that bright and their colors aren't as vibrant as on OLED phones, for example. I don't use these devices for watching videos because I am used to bezel-less phones and I love the colors of OLED panels. This doesn't mean that the displays on these phones are bad. In contrast, they are still very good for people that aren't into tech and they just want a big iPhone that works. Both of them have the 3D touch feature, which got removed on later versions. The iPhone 8 Plus runs perfectly on iOS 16. The iPhone 7 Plus on the other hand doesn't support this version, so you have to settle with iOS 15. Is this a deal breaker? Honestly no, but it's always nice to have the latest OS. Keep in mind that this might be the last update for the 8 Plus, so there isn't much difference between them. The iPhone 7 Plus is powered by the A10 Fusion chip, while the 8 Plus by the A11 Bionic. They do lag sometimes, but for their age this is normal. I would say that they still offer a good experience. The 8 Plus is slightly faster, but the 7 Plus is really good too. If you buy these devices, don't expect them to be as fast as the newer iPhones, but they still do the job just fine. The base storage on the 8 Plus is 64 GB, while on the 7 Plus is only 32 GB. As you can see, I don't have the base storage models, but I would say that for an average user 64 GB is still enough. 32 GB on the other hand shouldn't even be an option. In terms of RAM, they are identical since they both have 3 GB. They aren't the best on this, but I would say they are just fine. In terms of cameras, when we look at their specs, they are identical, and for the most part even in real life they are very similar. I would however give the win for the 8 Plus since it takes overall slightly better pictures with its front and rear cameras. The difference isn't really that big, and even the 7 Plus is able to hold its own, but I just prefer the 8 Plus a little bit more. For low light I don't think they are good, but if you only use them for social media, they are okay. The 8 Plus is also better when it comes to videos since it can record up to 4K at 60 FPS, while the 7 Plus can only record up to 4K at 30. Both devices have stereo speakers, and here I wasn't able to notice any differences at all. They have loud speakers, but they aren't as balanced since the bottom speaker on both phones is louder than the speaker they have on the earpiece. The 7 Plus was the first to get rid of the jack and the 8 Plus followed that trend. When it comes to the battery life, sadly, they aren't as good in 2023. If you are a light user, you can maybe go through a day with them, but for heavy users like me, they won't do it anymore. If I had to pick which one is better, I would say the 7 Plus since it lasts just a bit longer. As you can see, I replaced the battery of the 7 Plus and now it sits at 100%, while the battery health of my 8 Plus is 76%. Before I replaced it, the battery health on my 7 Plus was 74%, and even then, it was just a tiny bit better compared to its successor. The 8 Plus on the other hand wins at charging, and not because it charges faster but because it supports wireless charging. Both phones support the second generation Touch ID and I never had any problems them. Personally, I prefer Face ID, but Touch ID is almost just as good. So which phone is better for you in 2023? Both have their ups and downs, but I would say the 8 Plus is a slightly better choice. If you are heavy into tech, I think you should check other devices since these two miss many features that have been on later iPhones. On the other hand, if you want just a big iPhone with the home button, then the 8 Plus is a better deal despite costing more compared to the 7 Plus. Prices of the 8 Plus vary around $180 while for the 7 Plus around $150. Nowadays, I think these phones are good for children and for old people who don't care about extra features and use their phones only for communications. If you did enjoy this video, a thumbs up would be appreciated. Thank you for watching, and for more content like this please consider subscribing to my channel.